We're going to call the LaPorte County Redevelopment Commission for Wednesday, April 24th, 2019 to order. If you haven't done so yet, please turn off your cell phones. We'll stand for the pledge. Mr. Cooley, will you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Randy Novak.
Here.
Joe Core.
Here.
Dr. Cora.
Present.
Scott Cooley.
Here.
Michael Mollenauer.
Present.
Michael Rosenbaum. Ron Dispense. Mr. President, you have a quorum.
Thank you.
Oh, Terry Larson, sorry. I went right over your name. Sorry about that.
Don't take as long to forget, does it?
Yeah.
And you were the first one that answered me, too. So.
Going just like that. Approval of the agenda for tonight?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second and a second. Is there any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Public comment. Anybody from the public like to speak? Anybody from the public like to speak? Anybody from the public? Public comment is closed. Communications?
We have none this month.
No communications. Minutes from the last meeting? What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve is presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the minutes from last month's meeting. Is there any questions on the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Treasurer's report?
The Treasurer's report is as follows. The KIDC project Tiff area balance is $121,442.22. The I-94 US Route 421 Tiff balance is $149,284.30. The I-94 US 421 Tiff for the loan payment is not available. And then the 39 North Tiff balance is $3,338.94. That's the end of the Treasurer's report.
Thank you. What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second on the Treasurer's report? We have a motion and a second. Is there any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Claims. A, consideration payment for Thomas & Associates, LLC, in the amount of $812.50 for March services.
Motion approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Next item, item B, consideration of payments to Sender and Company, the amount of $278.33 for financial advisory services. This is out of the KIDC TIF.
Correct. That is for your annual report, so it was divided amongst the 3 TIFs.
Sounds good.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Next item is C, consideration payment for Harold Argus, an amount of $27.85 for legal notice.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Next item, consideration of payment to MAR Partners, $3,000 for April professional services out of the KIDC.
MCR Partners, now motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Next item is E, consideration payments to Barnes & Thornburg for $3,202.50 legal fees, KIDC TIF. Is this, Mr. Friedman, is this?
Mr. President, I think it had to do mainly with the responding to the Half-Lawson issues that were raised in terms of control of rail easements out there and further clarification on the declaration that was approved by the Redevelopment Commission. And I believe there was an opinion letter also submitted to the commission on that.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Did we receive that letter?
Yeah, that was, I think, last month.
This is last one.
Yes.
Is there any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is F, consideration payment to Herald Argus for $27.85, legal notice publication of the I-94-421 TIF.
Motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Next item is G for payment for Thomas and Associates LLC in the amount of $812.50 for March professional services from the I-94-421 TIF.
Motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Next item is H, consideration of payments for Sender and Company for $278.33 advisory services out of the I-94-421 TIF.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Consideration of payments for MAR Partners, MCR.
MCR, but I get you.
MCR. Channeling money off somewhere else. MCR Partners, $2,000 for April professional services from the I-94-421 TIF. What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Consideration of payments to Freeman Associates in the amount of $1,500 for April legal fees from the I-94-421 TIF.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Next item, K, consideration of payments for MCR Partners, $1,000, April professional service from the 39 North TIF.
Motion approved. Second.
All in.
We have a motion in several seconds on the question. None. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Next item, consideration of payments to Sender and Associates, $278.33 for financial advisory from the 39 North TIF. It's your pleasure.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion in a second.
Terry second. Yeah.
Terry, any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
Mr. President, I have a comment and a suggestion. I was thinking for, like, if there are three for Sender and Company, one third from three different, can we just say total amount and 1/3 coming from each of the TIFs rather than do it? I think it'll make it simple. You know?
It's totally appropriate, Doctor, to
I had already talked to Mary Jane about this particular item, and I think we're going to look at maybe trying to get a budget or something so that we can just pay claims in the amount. So, I mean, they can advertise them that way, itemize them, whatever they need to do, but at least when we come here, we don't have to go through 20 different items one at a time to do this. So, but I'm not sure. I was trying to get a hold of the auditor before I got here to see exactly what we had to do that. It might be that we have to wait until the budget hearing. So,
Okay.
Unless we ask her to create a line item now for it. So.
Well, I think my recollection was the auditor recommended that claims be listed, but that you could consolidate them.
Consolidate
There's certainly nothing wrong with that because you got several, all the Sender claims on one line, all the MCR on one line. That would be appropriate.
But we couldn't do it like with the commissioners. They just pay claims in the amount of X number of dollars. I mean, we advertise them, put them out there. There's no. We can even list them on the agenda, but just say we're paying the claims, the above mentioned.
Sure, as long as it's consistent with that we're advertising, then I think you may be all right. We can certainly get a formal opinion from the auditor on it, though. Yeah.
Just to make it a little bit.
Agreed.
Next time, we're under old business, construction rail planning committee update. Russ, you want to go first?
Good afternoon. My name is Russ Klozinski. I'm a member of the Rail Committee and the chairman of the subcommittee for the Rail Committee. The subcommittee met about 2 weeks ago to consider a couple of proposals that we had received regarding assigning a switcher to the Kingsbury Industrial Park. At that meeting, basically we decided not to take any action for 30 to 45 days for two reasons. Mainly, the first reason was that there's a couple things transpiring possibly within the park that could change the dynamics of what's going on out there. And secondly, we didn't want to add any additional cost to the people that are currently using the rail system out there. So basically, we decided to wait, just postpone any decision to the Rail Committee, which would then in turn come to the Redevelopment Commission for approximately 30 to 45 days on any switcher. The South Shore is doing it right now, but we weren't not going to change anything for right now. At least that's our recommendation at this point. So, if you have any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer.
Kind of in support of that, what we thought we ought to give Matt a chance to, he's got a couple possibilities out there at Kingsbury. We thought we ought to give him the clearance to work on them possibilities before we finalize our decision. So.
Okay.
Definitely. Thank you.
Sure.
Matt, you have anything to add?
No, sir.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is 421 I-94 Tiff project update. Matt?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have representatives from the developer. As the commissioners are aware, at the last meeting we talked about, there was seems to be a bit of a dispute regarding land use and the underlying utilities there. And I know that Vladimir Gans is here from SEND, and that's the development group, and they've been actively working to resolve those issues with TransCanada. And the commission and all other parties, we've circled our wagons with regard to continued consulting work and closed off all those ends. So we had a meeting 2.5 weeks ago with the project engineer and the planner, and said we're done for now until this gets resolved, and until we find out an answer. My recommendation stands that it's a full stop until we can move forward. At some point, the county will have to make a decision regardless of the outcome of this dispute between TransCanada and the developer, but that's not for today. And I'm here today to give an update from the developer side is Vladimir, and if you can come on up and give us a quick update, appreciate it.
Yeah. Good evening.
Good evening.
Vladimir Gans, I'm with 421 Partners. So as per our last meeting, we had hired an attorney out of Indianapolis to tackle TransCanada. So today what we found out is there's 3 lines that run through there. There's a 20-inch line, a 32-inch line, and a 40-inch line. The 20-inch line, the 32-inch lines were installed in 1970. And the TransCanada is suggesting that there might be some integrity issues to be able to handle that extra traffic, truck traffic coming over that pipeline. So what they typically do is they run a little mouse, or let's say a little robot through that pipeline with a plane that runs over the top of it, and it tests and it scans the integrity of the pipeline. And so what we're waiting to get is the data from TransCanada to determine what the integrity of that pipeline is. Because at the end of the day, they've got obligations to keep the integrity, regardless of what happens to that property, to keep the integrity of that pipeline to a certain level, and it was installed in 1970. So we're collecting that data. In the meantime, we've hired an engineer to determine how we can bridge over the top of this with stone, certain amounts of concrete, etc. So any traffic over the top of that pipeline, whether it was put in 1970 or brand new, wouldn't be of any effect. So we're making progress here, and I'm hoping to have maybe a lot more details for you by your next meeting, but I'm hoping we can come to some sort of terms with TransCanada within the next 30 to 60 days. So that's where we're at. But they seem to be working and willing to work with us, and their goal is not to inhibit any development. They want to work with communities, and so our attorney's got traction, and he's in communication with them. So the kicker is we just got this $5.5 million cost versus $500,000 to bridge over it is a big, significant difference. So that's where we're at. So I'll keep all posted at the next meeting, but we are getting someplace.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Is there any new business?
Mr. Chair, just to make you aware, that Tony and I have been working on, there's been 6 specific leads relative to 3 to the Kingsbury Park, 2 to 39 North, and 1 to the Symborg building on 750, 500. So these are not your stock leads coming from the state. They requested additional information, and it seems as if that a couple of the tax rates are pretty significantly lower out here, and there's some availability. So there's second looks going on with that. And then I wanted to cover, this is not so much new business but old business, directly with the IDC. I want to continue to pursue that, and Attorney Friedman reminded me that we need to close the loop. We being me, I need to close the loop on that funding. So I'm going to work to get that accomplished here by the next meeting and get it in front of them and get it approved and get it at the process. My meeting a month ago or so with Jim Staten, he asked me to outline what we would be doing with the proceeds. I think we have a pretty good idea of where that's going to go, and it's going to go into the Kingsbury Park. And with those things that I discussed earlier and these touch points with the owners, have a renewed level of confidence that that's going to happen. That coupled with the methodology to use the money, which is we'll reimburse you. We're not front funding anything, how to get people's attention that way. And I think that's something that the state will appreciate. So I'm going to work to get that, to grind that out for the next month, and hopefully get this any requirements that we may have back in communication to either legal or to the council to get that perfected with the IDC.
Thank you.
And I'll relinquish the floor to Mr. Rodriguez over there if you have any comments to add. You don't have to. I just throw it out there to you.
Commissioners, Tony Rodriguez, Community and Economic Development. I thought it'd be prudent just to mention, not directly relative to KIP, but directly relative to initiatives that the commissioners and council are working on with the surveying of LaPorte County and trying to identify the holes that exist within rural LaPorte County for identifying where industry is not currently serving the needs of industry, healthcare, and residences within the county. So that survey is active and will close on April 30. We'll collect that data, process that at the next Rural Broadband Task Force meeting, and begin to work almost immediately. We will finalize a grant application that's very much actively in process right now, and then be submitting a significant grant application to the state of Indiana to assist in solving some of the connectivity issues that we'll identify in the survey. So I just wanted to bring that to the attention of the commission.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Any other new business? How about other business? I have a quick question for Matt.
Yes, sir.
Any news on the hotel out there by the Bob Evans?
Haven't heard back from them in 3 months.
They purchased the property.
They own it.
But nothing.
Nope. They had a change in their point person, and I urged them to buy the hotel to the west as a bigger project, and the massage parlor to the north as a better project.
Maybe the one across the street.
And I suggested that the more properties they would procure, the higher level of interest that would be garnered by the elected officials to financially participate in a more meaningful way. So that's where I left it with them. But I haven't heard back from them. So they still own it. It's sitting there. You got a $200-some million hospital next to it. I can't imagine what's the wait, unless they can't figure out how to make it as big as they could possibly do it.
Is there any headway on the INDOT property right there on the corner?
Yeah, I have paperwork going back and forth with them. They've ruled it to be a surplus property, meaning we can have it. They have a process, and it's a lengthy one, but it's a process, and they're going to do it. So they have to go through. They have to appraise it. They have to do environmental testing on it. They have to make us aware of it. Takes takes a little bit of time.
Sounds good.
But eventually that'll be a good 2020 project for the commission to consider doing something with that corner.
Right.
Sprucing it up a little bit because this year doesn't look too hot. So
At least it eliminates I think it was one of the concerns about the hotel is cleaning up that corner, beautifying that, making it look a little bit more presentable.
yeah, we're right on lockstep with what we told them we could do for that. And the road's done, which was one of the agreements that I put in front of the hotel people, which is that would get repaved. And second piece of that was to get control of that site and clean it up and work with them to do some signage and make it look appropriate. So.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks.
Any other business? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
How they do?